Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Nothing is more frustrating than getting a catastrophic error that crashes the application, in my case, Premiere Pro, when you were rendering a project right from Premiere Pro, and the render took over 2 hours. So who knows how this is gonna turn out. Hey guys, so today I wanna do a little vlog, and I wanna go over some things to look out for when you're renting equipment from different rental houses. And I'm gonna share a couple stories that happened to me here recently. Let's head on over to the studio. When you're working with rental houses and you're renting gear, especially really expensive gear, there are some things that you have to know and have to do to protect yourself so that it doesn't end up costing you additional money out of pocket. Let me get some lights on and then we'll go through this. Okay, that's a lot better. So the things that you should know. Obviously, when you get your gear, I can't say this enough, inspect everything that you got. Make sure that if you rented it, it is there, and every single component, whether it be a mounting bracket or a cable, every single piece has to be there. You have to do this for yourself, not just to protect yourself, right? To make sure that no one can later come back and say, hey, something was missing. But more importantly, to ensure that they can't come back and say something was damaged, or so that you don't end up going on location or to your project with damaged or missing gear. So I rented the Westcott 2x2 light panel. The reason why I rented that 2x2 panel is because I need to be able to travel with lights. And I need to be able to travel with lights that are strong, powerful, at times may have to compete with the sun, and are lightweight, easy to set up, especially when I'm traveling outside of the US. So before pulling the trigger on this $2,000 light, I figured I would rent it. I'd call Westcott, ask them what their recommendation was for how to travel with such a large light panel, since you can't fold it, right? You can roll it, but you can't fold it. And sure enough, Westcott said, hey, you can roll it, but never compress the roll. So roll it to what it naturally would want to roll, and then you could find a container that would hold it rolled up and travel with it that way. And I thought, so, okay, I can buy a container, but I wonder what rental houses use as a container. And you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and actually create a little bit better lighting here, because this is, yeah. Let's improve the lighting. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. So I like that backlight, it creates a little bit more separation. So sure enough, they send over the 2x2 panel. It arrives, I'm going through and I check the gear, and yep, the power cord is there, the mounting stand is there, or the mounting connector is there. I plug in the light, I turn it to the dimmest setting, which is something that I do with all my lights. Anytime I start them, I start at the lowest setting, and only part of the light bulbs lit up. There was a huge chunk of LEDs, individual LEDs, that did not light up in the lowest dimmer setting. So at first I'm like, okay, this is clearly damaged. Inspecting the actual light panel, it looked like someone had, more than on one occasion, folded the light panel to where the backing where the LEDs actually sit was cracked. I'm not talking about a crack that you can't see, I'm talking about a crack that has full-blown separation. In some cases, longer than 5 or 6 inches. And it was in multiple areas above top and both at the bottom, because like I said, at some point, somewhere along their rentals, that light was folded. And that's what happens to that light when you fold it. So it breaks. So my first thought was, I'm gonna have to report it. because obviously it's not working, and it's not working as intended. So I turned the dimmer all the way high, and in a few seconds, all the lights light up. So I thought, well, clearly, because they sent it to me, they must have realized that all the lights do, all the individual little LEDs do light up, which means they're okay with the cracked backing of those LEDs, and it's fine. I went ahead, used it on my project, got done, kick-ass project. It's a project for Hufta. If you guys are following me on Instagram, you probably have seen that already. But essentially, it worked. Ship it back. I'm thinking, I am good to go. Let me get some light in this background so that I create a little bit more separation, because I feel like I'm super flat. So this is not, I want to make it a little better. Okay, I like this look a lot better now with both my backlight and the background being lit. So anyway, I go through the project, it works out, we get it done, I ship it back to them. I'm thinking this was success. I now know how it is that they ship it, which, by the way, they shipped it in a cardboard box. So they rolled it, put bubble wrap as they rolled it both on the inside and on the outside, and then dumped it into a cardboard box. And that's how they shipped it. I don't treat my gear that way. And I understand that rental houses make money off of getting their gear out to people like me who don't own it. But that seemed unsafe, I guess. It's the best way for me to put it. But anyhow, that's how they shipped it. So again, I took care of it, got it back to them thinking this worked, except now I know that I can't buy this 2x2 panel and expect to travel. Like if I'm going to South Africa as an example, or I go into Canada, Japan, different places all the time, and I'm not going to travel with a cardboard box holding my $2,000+ light. So that's not going to work. I get an email about 10 days later. And the email says, hey, we found some damage in the equipment that you recently rented. We're going to send it to Westcott, ask for an estimate for repair, and then we will send you an invoice based on what that estimate is. Now, I have renter's insurance, right? Rental gear insurance. I have inland marine insurance, which protects my gear when it leaves the studio, as well as covers me on rental gear. So that's really not my big concern, because I know that I'm protected by my insurance. What I didn't expect was for them to say that those light bulbs that when I turned them on in the lowest dimmer setting didn't come on, equaled that Carlos Quintero broke them. I didn't break the light. That's how the light came. In fact, the light looked incredibly abused by the time that I got it. And I understand that production is going to wear things out. But somewhere along the line, that light had been broken. And if they would turn the dimmer on all the way to high, they would see that all the lights do in fact light up. And then you could dim down to the lowest setting and all the lights stay on. Except now, I am liable for that damage. And with my insurance, as well as with the insurance that I purchased when I rented the gear from these people in the East Coast, I am responsible for 10% of the cost, which will roughly translate to about $200. $200 is a lot of money for a lot of people, including me. particularly when I didn't break something, because I have zero problems taking responsibility and saying I did something if I actually did it, or if I broke something or mistreated something or didn't take care of whatever that might be. And because I was stupid and did not take a picture and then also email that picture, even if it was only to myself, so that it was time-stamped when I received the gear, because as you know, they send everything. If you don't know, they send tracking numbers, right? So they know when things land. So if I would have opened up the boxes, did my inspection like I did, which that was fine, when I realized that some of the bulbs were not lighting up in the lowest dimmer settings, I should have taken a picture, instantly emailed it to myself so that it would have had a timestamp. And that would have been the only way that I could have protected myself against having to pay extra for that gear that I did not damage. So I wanted to share that with you because I think that that's important. I think that's something that if you haven't worked with a lot of rental houses, you should be aware of. If you skip a step, the rental house will ensure that they protect themselves, they protect their gear, and more than likely, it's going to come out of your pocket. I'm going to change my lighting and do a little bit more of what I traditionally do in this space. Yeah, just because I got one more story for you. So this is my normal studio setup. What do you guys think? You guys like the look? So here's story number 2. Second piece of gear that I rented, completely different rental house based out of Chicago. I rented the Arri Alexa Mini for a commercial project. The key with them was that when I get the gear, I had a very small, tight window of opportunity to make sure that every single thing was in there. Now, a couple, upsides or downsides, I don't even know how you want to look at it, is I didn't need media. I have plenty of media. They went ahead and sent me media anyway. I didn't need batteries for a battery charger. I have plenty of those. They went ahead and sent that to me also, which essentially means I paid for it, right? Whatever, it is what it is. I got to keep it for longer than my rental period of time. So that was good. No qualms or challenges there. They sent me a nice detailed checklist of every single piece, bolt, cable, attachment, cage, you name it, itemized in extreme detail, basically asking me, is everything there? And did I pack everything on the way back? Super, super easy. Like very difficult for you to mess that up. It's just, it won't happen, okay? I went ahead, did my shoots, I sent it back. 5 days later, I get an email saying they found damage. They found a damage in the cable that connects the EVF to the actual Arri Alexa Mini body. And what happened with that cable is that it has some pins, and apparently the pins were bent, some of them, and one of them broken. And that typically happens when someone is trying to put the cable in and is twisting it, finding how it's going to fit. Here's the news flash. They shipped it to me with the EVF and the cable attached. I, in my inspection, saw the EVF, saw the cable, saw that it was connected. I plugged it in. EVF worked. The flip-out screen worked. I thought I'm good to go. My mistake was not unplugging the cable and checking both ends to ensure that the pins in the cable were solid, secure, not bent, not broken, not damaged in any way. Not just for that cable, but for all the other cables. Like, I didn't check the charging cables or the charger itself, or the cable that goes from the V-mount battery plate to the Arri Alexa, because I didn't need them. I saw that they were there, but I didn't look into the cables to identify whether there was an issue in the cable or not. And that is going to cost me additional money. Just like that, it's going to cost me more money because I just made sure that the parts were there. I made sure the parts were working, but I didn't do my due diligence and protect myself just like the rental houses would. That one little cable, 200 and, I don't know, under 300, more than 200. I don't remember the exact dollar amount. So 2 rentals, $400 later, that I could have used on more media, a different light, software, you name it. And it's going to cost me out of pocket because I trusted mistakenly or naively in that if the equipment's working and this is exactly how they got it to me, that's how they want it back. So what's the takeaway? Takeaway is simple. We can't afford to buy every single piece of gear or equipment, right? And every single job requires something a little different. So if we have to use rental houses, then do yourself a favor and just know that whatever day things are arriving, you have a window of opportunity where you not only have to inventory what it is that you received, especially me, where I can't physically walk into a rental house. We don't have any in Fargo, North Dakota. Okay? So if they're shipping it to me from Chicago, from LA, from the East Coast, then I have to make sure that I have a body assigned or myself assigned to inventory the gear and then inspect it. If it's a camera, inspect every single port. If it's a cable, inspect both ends of the port. Inspect that the cable is not dry rotted, that it's not cracked, so on and so forth. Make sure that everything looks like it is in full working order. And if it isn't, report it. And the best way to protect yourself is to take pictures of whatever problems or issues you might find and then email them to yourself, because that will timestamp that picture to make sure that no one can come back later and say, you missed the window, or you didn't report it on time, or it wasn't like that when you say it was. There's no question about you or your integrity. And it doesn't matter if you are someone who has been in business for a really long time, and obviously this is how you stay in business, or if you're a first-time renter. Do yourself a favor, protect yourself, and enjoy the filmmaking process, because it's still fun. Just knowing how to protect ourselves is something that no one, when I was, moving my way up, no one ever said, these types of things can happen to you. They said, make sure that you do an inventory and every single piece that you're renting is there. And when you're returning, every single piece is going back. That will take care of you, except it doesn't. That's step 1. Step 2 is make sure that they're in good working order, because what the rental house might send you may be damaged in one way or another. And if you don't take these steps, you'll end up paying for them. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I know it's a little long, but hopefully you guys are learning from some of my mistakes. And if you haven't already, I'm going to encourage you to please subscribe. We're going to try to go ahead and share as much as we can about our process as we both grow our, video production business and other areas of business, as well as share our knowledge on these different camera systems, this different gear, technology, software, to make sure that you guys can effectively compete in today's web economy. Until next time, I'm Carlos Quintero from Media IQ, helping you compete in today's web economy. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.